The room went completely silent when my mother pointed at my 12-year-old son and called him a bastard. 85 guests heard it. My son heard it. And the look on his face in that moment is something I will never forgive. But what destroyed my mother wasn't my anger. It was the DNA test she begged for. And the truth she never saw coming. My name is Rachel. I'm 36 years old, divorced, and a mother to the sweetest boy in the world, my son, Noah. Noah was born when I was 24. His father, Marcus, died in a car accident 3 months before Noah was born. I still remember sitting in that hospital room alone, 8 months pregnant, trying to understand how my entire future disappeared in one phone call. Marcus wasn't perfect, but he loved me deeply. And he already loved Noah before he was even born. After he died, I moved back closer to my parents because I thought family would help me survive the grief. Big mistake. My mother, Diane, cared deeply about appearances. Church reputation. Neighborhood gossip. Perfect family image. And according to her, being a pregnant unmarried woman made me an embarrassment. She never said it directly at first. But little comments slipped out constantly. You should have waited for marriage. People talk, Rachel. Poor Noah will grow up confused. At first, I ignored it. Because grief makes you tolerate things you normally wouldn't. But over the years, her comments became crueler. Especially toward Noah. She treated him differently from her other grandchildren. Smaller birthday gifts. Less affection. Constant criticism. One Christmas, Noah accidentally spilled juice on the carpet and my mother snapped. Just like his mother. Careless. He was 8 years old. 8. I confronted her privately afterward. Why do you always treat him differently? She crossed her arms immediately. Because everyone pretends the situation was normal when it wasn't. I stared at her. Marcus and I loved each other. You still had a child out of wedlock. That sentence burned inside me for years. But I stayed quiet for Noah's sake. That was my biggest mistake. Because silence teaches cruel people that they can keep going. Things got worse after I started dating again. I met Daniel at work. He was kind, patient, and incredible with Noah. The first time they met, Noah spent 2 hours showing him dinosaur drawings. Daniel looked at every single one seriously and said, "Man, you might be better at drawing than actual adults." Noah smiled so hard his cheeks turned red. I nearly cried watching it. 2 years later, Daniel proposed. And Noah was the one who helped him choose the ring. Life finally felt stable again. Happy. Safe. Which is exactly when my mother decided to destroy it. The disaster happened during our engagement dinner. Daniel's parents organized it at a beautiful restaurant downtown. 85 guests came, family, coworkers, close friends. Everyone was laughing. Glasses clinked. Music played softly in the background. For once, I felt surrounded by love. Then Daniel stood up to give a speech. He smiled at Noah and said, "Before I marry your mom, there's something important I want everyone to know. Noah isn't just part of Rachel's life. He's my son too." The room melted. People applauded. Noah looked like he might cry. And then my mother stood up. Slowly. Coldly. "Well," she said loudly, "let's not rewrite history. The boy already had a father. Whether people approved of how he was conceived is another matter." The room instantly froze. I felt my stomach drop. "Mom," I whispered. But she kept going. "I'm simply saying what everyone here is thinking. We all spent years pretending this bastard situation was normal." Bastard. She called my child a bastard. In front of 85 people. I heard someone gasp. A fork hit the floor somewhere behind me. And Noah. God. Noah's face collapsed instantly. 12 years old, sitting there in a little blue dress shirt, hearing his grandmother publicly humiliate him like he was something dirty. "Grandma," he whispered. I snapped. "Get out." The entire restaurant went silent. My mother blinked at me like she was shocked. "Rachel. Get out now." My father tried intervening. "Honey, calm down." "No," I shouted. "You let her do this for years." Daniel stood beside me immediately. And then something happened I'll never forget. Noah quietly stood up and said, "It's okay, Mom. I'm used to it." That sentence shattered me. Because I realized my son had been carrying this pain silently for years. My mother scoffed and grabbed her purse dramatically. "If people can't handle honesty, that's their problem." Then she left. But the damage stayed in that room long after she was gone. Noah locked himself in the bathroom afterward. I found him crying quietly so nobody would hear. "Am I bad?" he asked me. I felt physically sick. "No, baby. Never." "Then why does Grandma hate me?" I had no answer. That night, Daniel made a decision. "We're done with her," he said firmly. And I agreed. For 3 peaceful weeks, we cut off all contact. Then came twist number 1. My father showed up at my house unexpectedly. He looked exhausted. "Your mother wants to apologize," he said carefully. I laughed bitterly. Too late. But then he lowered his voice. "She's also demanding a DNA test." I stared at him. "What?" "She claims Marcus may not actually be Noah's father." For a second, I genuinely couldn't breathe. My mother had crossed every line imaginable. Marcus had been dead for 12 years. And now she was trying to destroy even Noah's memory of him. "She says," my father continued awkwardly, "that if Daniel's marrying you, he deserves the truth." I slammed the front door so hard the walls shook. But that night, something kept bothering me. Not because I doubted Noah's father. Never. But because I suddenly realized something darker. Why was my mother suddenly obsessed with proving Noah illegitimate after all these years? Then twist number 2 hit me like a truck. My cousin Melinda called me secretly. "Rachel," she whispered nervously, "your mother's been spreading rumors." "What rumors?" "She's telling relatives that Marcus questioned Noah's paternity before he died." I nearly dropped my phone. "What?" But it got worse. Apparently my mother had been telling people that Daniel was raising another man's affair child. I saw red. This wasn't cruelty anymore. This was calculated destruction. And suddenly, a memory came back to me. A strange argument between Marcus and my mother shortly before he died. At the time, I thought it was about wedding plans. Now I wasn't so sure. So I did something I never expected. I called Marcus's older sister, Vanessa. And when I told her everything, she went quiet for a very long time. Then she said, "Rachel, there's something you never knew." My chest tightened. Apparently, a month before Marcus died, he discovered my mother had secretly contacted him behind my back. Demanding money. Threatening to tell church members I was immoral unless he paid her. I felt nauseous. "What?" Vanessa sighed shakily. Marcus was furious. He planned to confront your mother publicly after the wedding. Wedding. The wedding we never got to have because he died. Suddenly everything made sense. My mother didn't hate Noah because of morality. She hated him because Marcus refused to let her control us. And Noah was the living reminder of that failure. I cried harder that night than I had in years. But I was also done being afraid. So I agreed to the DNA test. Publicly. And my mother was thrilled. She genuinely thought she'd finally prove something. The test happened 2 weeks later. And because my mother loved drama, she demanded the results be revealed during a family gathering at my parents' house. Nearly 30 relatives came. My mother sat there smugly the entire night like she'd already won. Noah sat beside Daniel quietly, nervous and confused. I held his hand the whole time. Then the envelope arrived. My mother actually smiled. Finally, she said. The lawyer opened the results. And everything exploded. The DNA confirms with 99.99% certainty that Noah is the biological son of Marcus Hale. I felt relief immediately. But then the lawyer continued. There is also an additional matter requested during verification. My mother frowned. What additional matter? The lawyer adjusted his glasses awkwardly. Mrs. Diane Carter, your husband requested a secondary DNA comparison. The room went silent. My father stared at the floor. My mother suddenly looked nervous for the first time all night. And then came the final bombshell. The results show that your son, Michael, is not biologically related to your husband. Chaos. Absolute chaos. My mother turned white instantly. My father stood up slowly like his entire world had shattered. What? He whispered. I couldn't even process what I was hearing. My mother started shaking violently. That test is wrong. But it wasn't. After accusing me for years. After humiliating my child. After obsessing over illegitimacy. She had been hiding her own affair for over 30 years. The irony was so brutal nobody even spoke for several seconds. Then my father looked at her with tears in his eyes and asked. All these years, you let me attack Rachel while you were lying? My mother broke down screaming. But nobody defended her. Nobody. And then came the moment I'll never forget. Noah looked at me quietly and asked. So? Grandma was lying the whole time? I pulled him close and kissed his forehead. Yes, baby. He nodded slowly. Then he said something that destroyed the entire room. I think Grandpa looks sadder than me. Even after everything, my son still had more compassion than the adults around him. My parents divorced 8 months later. Most relatives stopped speaking to my mother completely after learning how she treated Noah. And the church community she cared about so much? They found out everything. Every ugly detail. Today, Noah is 14. Daniel officially adopted him last year. And sometimes I still think about that night in the restaurant, hearing my mother call my son a bastard in front of 85 people. She thought humiliation would break us. Instead, it exposed her. And in the end, the DNA test she demanded destroyed the only thing she truly cared about. Her perfect image.